All right, welcome to the Week 6 Forum. This week, again, as I noted in the overview, we are looking at 4 chapters. This is the last of sort of the big gulp semester, chapters or weeks of the semester. Week 7 and Week 8, we are only doing with 2 chapters, so that gives you a little bit of a breather. And that's, we have to do this to get to that point where we can kind of take it easy towards the end. Each of these chapters, I think, have really important questions to ask. And I kind of boil it down to 3 basic questions. What are U.S. interests in each of these regions? Which of the countries in each region are what we would consider to be regional hegemons, and what kind of relationship does the United States have with those regional powers? And then third, how has U.S. history in each region affected U.S. policy going forward? And I think that especially bears in mind, in the Middle East, because I think our actions in the Middle East have put us at a disadvantage in the region. I think it has narrowed the scope of actions that are plausible, that can plausibly be pursued in the Middle East. And I think we have to work a lot more carefully. We have to be more diplomatically adept and to some extent militarily nimble in terms of managing what's going on in the Middle East and ultimately in South Asia as well, with our rapid withdrawal from Afghanistan. With East Asia, I think the challenges clearly are China related, but also in managing our relationships between Japan and South Korea, and in managing North Korea, which is again one of the biggest threats to global order that is currently percolating at the time. To me, a big challenge that we're looking at is to what extent is Chinese leader Xi Jinping really determined to act decisively with regard to Taiwan. Also, just the extent to which the Chinese Communist Party has durable control over that country. I think something that was dealt with in one of the earlier chapters on the military, the whole idea of anti-access area denial capabilities, A2AD. This is very significant because I think a big part of what the Chinese are doing in the South China Sea is they are trying to create an environment where the Seventh Fleet simply can't operate safely. And they are doing that to put increased pressure on Taiwan, to basically say to the United States, you cannot just sail in here with impunity and threaten us and intimidate us away from doing what we want to do. And so, that is a potentially destabilizing development in terms of what's going on in East Asia. And of course, East Asia is always a bit unstable because of the presence of North Korea and the Juche regime there, and simply just how irrational or frequently irrational they are. In South Asia, everything kind of boils down to the India-Pakistan relationship. For much of the post-World War II history, the United States had fairly warm relations with Pakistan and fairly cool relations with India. I suspect that may reverse. Again, part of the problem here too is that India under Narendra Modi is increasingly moving in a nationalist and authoritarian direction. I think Pakistan, meanwhile, that regime is incredibly corrupt and brittle. And so we have to do whatever it is that we need to do to keep these 2 nuclear powers' political instability and regional aspirations from verging into a nuclear war. In the Middle East, again, as I said, we have a problem there because we have used force and we have failed. That is a problem for us. We can keep trying to use military force in that region. The main conflict in the region, of course, is between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which are largely sort of proxies in the broader conflict over Sunni and Shiite versions of Islam. And so you have, real questions about sort of, what's going to happen in the aftermath of the Arab Spring and all the different regime changes that occurred, what's going to happen in Syria. To what extent is Russia going to be able to maintain its investment in Syria? I think these are all very important questions going forward. I think the United States, again, needs to be careful and cautious in terms of how it uses especially coercive means to try and advance its interest in the region. And then finally, in sub-Saharan Africa, this is a region that the United States does not have quite as deep a level of prior investment. Our history there is a little bit less clearly, kind of, clear cut as it was in the Middle East, where we basically just ran in and took a couple of countries over. But we do have a history there, and there is a lot of anti-American sentiment in sub-Saharan Africa. And so when you look at the great, the regional powers of Africa, I think you can't ignore Egypt. You can't ignore Nigeria, and you can't ignore South Africa. Those are sort of the three greatest powers. Among also the regional powers, Ethiopia is considered to have a very powerful military, although they have been dealt some serious, damage in a civil conflict within the country. So, so all of these questions, when you look at it again, what can we do to advance our interests? How does the promotion of stability and prosperity in each region, advance U.S. interests? The extent to which one area is more central to our interests because of the presence of oil or some other kind of precious, resource. Africa is increasingly becoming consequential because they have so many of the, kind of the mineral things that a high-tech industry really needs. And so, we also need to recognize the extent to which regional, we have rivals. China is increasingly insinuating itself into sub-Saharan Africa. I think if we invest wisely and prudently and maintain a relatively light touch, we can help guide countries out of the corruption that they currently are and the poverty that they're currently dealing with, and help them develop economically, and that in the long run, I think that serves everyone's interests. So again, a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Let's have a great discussion, and remember, kind of after this week, things will kind of lighten up a little bit, and then we'll have fewer of the we'll be able to pace ourselves a little bit better, take a breather. So let's have a great week.